Yes. Came home, my wife wasn't home, her driver's license is still in there, the rental car's gone, and her daughter's here, and we were kind of worried about what's happening and where she's at.
Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies starts now.
The death of Debbie Collier, law enforcement is saying it's personal and it's targeted. Whoa, this is huge. So they don't believe that it's an abduction. In a statement released by law enforcement, they said this, and I'm going to read it out to you. In an attempt to address the suggestions of being a suicide or the work of a serial killer, we want to reiterate that there is nothing that comes from this investigation thus far that would support the theory that this was self-inflicted or that it was a random act of violence. At this time, the investigation is leading us to the proposition that Mrs. Collier's death was personal and targeted. Mind blown, mic drop moment. So I want to play you the 911 call from Debbie's sister. And this is really important because this could be related to what happened to Debbie. I'm only going to play you the first portion because that's the part that feels the most relevant. A traffic accident that Debbie had.
Clark County Police.
Yes, sir. My name is Diane Shirley, and my sister lives in Georgia, and my niece told me she was missing. Her name is Deborah Collier, or she could go by Debbie.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if y'all have any information about it.
As far as, no, not other than with the officer or whoever is working on the case. I don't know anything. Where does she live? Do you know?
All I know is, I'm sorry, I don't know her address. Collier.
Okay.
Collier.
Yeah. I wouldn't have any information. When there's something, they will contact the family. Whenever they have something for that.
Okay.
All right.
We're just not getting information, so I'm just.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I am really worried about my sister.
Okay.
And
you know what do you have any information where she might go, or do you have anything to add?
Well, from my niece, she said that she was in an accident about a month ago, and she was, on the road. She was following this truck, and this truck lost a paint can, and the paint can hit my sister's car, and the paint went everywhere. And the driver was trying to convince my sister not to tell the cops that he was driving because he was out on parole, and there was, a stipulation to his parole that he couldn't drive.
I got you.
I'm
sorry. I was going to ask, do you think that was told to anybody else? Well, do you think that was told to the officer, that concern?
That's standing from my niece.
Okay, so everything I'm sharing with you today is my opinion, and opinions are not facts. So please don't send any negativity to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Let's be good and kind to each other. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up, and let's get started. So law enforcement says that there was no target and there's no evidence of the abduction. So this is despite the fact that the Venmo message that Debbie supposedly sent to her daughter, Amanda, maybe they're thinking that this is staged. What do you guys think? When you look at the footage of Debbie inside the dollar store, you can see she looks calm, she looks serene. There's nothing about her movements. I don't see any shakiness or nervousness. She doesn't look flustered at all. So this tells me that there wasn't some stranger in the car, because she could have easily passed a note to the cashier or just simply told the cashier that she needed help. But she doesn't do any of this. Instead, she buys this odd list of items. So this tells me that if somebody was in her car, then probably it would have been someone who she knew and someone who she trusted. What do you think? If you haven't seen the video that I put out on Debbie Collier over this past weekend, you are going to want to see this next, because I do an overview of the case. Okay, so on this footage, you can see Debbie's walking into the dollar store around 3:09 p.m. She looks calm, right? She doesn't look flustered. She doesn't look upset. There's nothing that's, raising red flags about Debbie in this store. And mind you, there was no one standing with her, so she could have easily asked for help if she was in trouble, or if she had an abductor hiding in the car, right? Or she could have passed a note to the cashier. She didn't do any of those things. Instead, she just buys these items that included a torch, lighter, and other things that were burned. She bought a rain poncho, and she put it in a reusable tote. She bought paper towels that were found burned at the scene. It looks like Debbie bought her own murder kit, right? But hang on, because it gets even crazier. Okay, so on this part, you can see Debbie. She's walking calmly out of the dollar store at 3:09 p.m. And we know that then she goes to her car and she sits in the car for approximately 10 minutes. Again, she's not asking for help. She's not trying to flag down anybody. So either the person that abducted her was someone that she knew and trusted, or nothing had taken place at the point and time of when she was in the dollar store. What do you guys think? Law enforcement, during their presser, narrowed down the time of Debbie's abduction to exactly, and I want to make sure I have this exact. Okay, so to exactly Saturday, September 10th at 3:19 p.m. to Sunday, September 11th, which was 12:44 p.m., which, mind you, they found her off of a highway with her rental van parked, and she was just off the beaten path in a ravine. This was not like a picnic area or a park or anything like that. It wasn't a truck stop even. It was just, she pulled over to the side of the road and decided to wander down a ravine, strip herself of her clothes, and burn the items she got at the dollar store. And remember, her own stomach was charred. We know that Debbie's daughter Amanda called 911, right? And I played that for you on the video that I released the other day over the weekend. And you can see she says she's calling because she has some information to give. But then when the operator tries to find out, and it was probably a police officer who answered the phone, right? Whoever answered the phone tried to find out what it was. Then she's like, oh, no, I made a mistake. Really, what was she doing? She was trying to get information, right? She's trying to find out, what do the police know? What are they thinking? And then she's like, oh, do I need to hire a private investigator? I don't know, guys. The crying sounded pretty good, but I don't know. What do you think? The crying sounded good. I heard lots of sniffing and crying, but was she really crying? Did she just have a cold? I have a little bit of a cold, so I have sniffles, but I'm not crying. So I don't know. What do you think? And then we have Steve's call to 911, and he also sounds calm, but at this point in time, I think it's fair to say, because he has been ruled out, he was parking cars up till 3 p.m. on the day that Debbie disappeared. And so law enforcement has verified his alibi. So I think it's fair to say that maybe he just wasn't that flustered. It wasn't that late. She hadn't been gone that long. It had only been a couple of hours. So maybe he's just calling because Amanda wanted him to, and maybe not because he was particularly worried about Debbie yet. So he may have just been calling as a precaution, not because he really believed at that point that something had gone wrong. What do you guys think about that theory? I am so curious to know, what do you guys think about Diane, Debbie's sister's 911 call? What do you think about Amanda's 911 call that I played for you over the weekend? What do you think about Steve's 911 call? Subscribe and leave me a comment.